It's down.
Ba-da-da-da.
Yeah, it's the show preview. Welcome to the show preview, everybody. Woo!
So there's this like VBS thing my church is doing, and it has the story before the story where it basically gives a prequel to whatever lesson they're going to teach.
Oh, right. Yeah, we don't do that here, but this is probably going to end up in the video anyway. So the more you know, kids. Let's make a podcast.
Podcasts.
All right. Greetings, true believers, and welcome to episode 76 of the Pull List Podcast, a bi-weekly show about comics, pop culture, and faith. My name is Chris Poirier, and with me, as always, is the one, the only, the guy that fills in for me whenever I'm not here doing adulting things or feeling sick, Hector, and sometimes Todd, but Todd's not here right now. So, hi,
Hi,
Todd.
Todd.
Thank you. So yeah, adulting showed up, but I had to pretend to do like the job that pays me doll hairs last time, and I'm sorry, but I'm back. But I'm fighting a cold, so if my voice sounds like utter trash or I look like it, well, cheers. Tasty beverages. So Hector, last time went pretty awesome, so dig it. Appreciate you as always. So how you doing? I see the trees moving in your background, so I guess you're next on deck for a hurricane, I guess.
Yeah, if you're watching the video of this, you can see the trees whipping around. Technically, this is I guess this is it for me.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be like 12 to 24 hours of this.
Yep.
And what's kind of crazy is I'm actually supposed to leave this afternoon to go to a drive up to Hickory, which is 3 hours northwest for a
Yep.
show.
Hickory.
And that's where the storm is heading.
Oh, good.
So if I go do this show, I'm directly driving into the hurricane portion.
Oh, good.
And yeah. So that's kind of like, I don't like canceling shows, but I also don't like driving into hurricanes. I've been through a lot. So.
Yeah. Hector has a little twitch over that.
You know that one line in Batman versus Superman? He's like, maybe it's the Gotham City in me, but I don't like cloud, like whatever that line is.
Right.
Like it's like ever since the first time my town flooded in my life, every time it rains, I'm like, maybe it's the Loveritz in North Carolina in me, but I don't like rain.
I don't like it when it rains. Well,
I didn't ask for this moisture.
well, at least for the next hour, we can talk about
Can that
comic.
be the show title? I didn't ask for this moisture.
I didn't ask for this moisture. Hold on, make a note. Yep. All right. You have witnessed the birth of a show title. So
I don't appreciate this precipitate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the team's back together, so I guess you know what that means. It's time to strap yourselves in and prepare yourselves for We've Got Comic Scene.
Better put the word out. Get ready for the nerd out. Better put specs on. Better break necks on. I cut handsome checks for my expansion sets. They call me Obi-Wan. Act like you know me, son.
Well, on today's episode of the Pull List, we're not going to spend the next 60-something minutes on the weather, but we've got a great show for you. We're going to hit the latest news that you need to know, our pull recommendations from the past couple of weeks, because I missed a couple. I think most of mine are from the last 2 weeks, but they might be from the last month or so. So sorry, not sorry. And we're going to talk about our favorite new number ones. I'm actually pretty thrilled with mine this week. It's kind of a cool book and it's short. So you guys are going to get a story and you only have to buy 3 more comics after today. And there's so much more to talk about. So let's hop right in. This is the Pull List Podcast. As we wander on into the newsroom, which is my office that you can now see. So you didn't see me wander anywhere, but here we are.
Magic Man.
Yeah, it's
Now you see me.
Yeah, everybody gets the joy of that. Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh.
References. So some news, yeah. I'm going to be honest right off the top. Hector and I have mentioned throughout this season anyway that we're like, have all the good comics is gone? And that's a thing.
Freaking
But
Sarah McLachlan song in my head now. Thank you.
you're welcome. References.
Where all the comics
YouTube.
go?
Don't. Copyright violations. We're gonna get flagged. Good.
Dude, it legitimately, if YouTube picks that up as
Right.
the real song,
It's like, it's yours. Go for it. News has been really weird lately too, as in I go through like 6, 7, 10 geeky nerdy comic book sites looking for stuff for us to talk about. And this week I was like, don't care. Where is actually information happening in terms of the industry? Don't care. Okay, so all right. And I can't figure, fall usually is actually like a bunch of Halloween stuff always drops going into Halloween. And then setting up for the new year always hits around this time of year as well. And there's just not a lot of that. So I guess this is my random editorial commentary on, I don't know what's happening, but I'm slowly, maybe more quickly now, because I've been saying the same speech for like a while now of, where's everything going or not going? It concerns me slightly that it feels like it's a trickle of even news of stuff to come, let alone what actually hits the shelf.
I don't think that there's anything in a real state of solidity right now.
Right? That's fair.
And I think that's the issue, is that nobody knows what their sure footing is. So everybody is moving in a state of like, let's tread lightly, because I think everybody rushed to get back on sure footing after the world hit pause.
Yep.
And now when they're hitting it,
it's like, oh no. And it's interesting, and I guess that's a good point, because this got uttered at my comic shop this week when I jumped in, is my comic shop guy was saying that fewer people are picking up their polls. He's had people literally call and be like, money is a thing right now, so no. So either hold that or no, I'm out, because this is the thing that has to give in my pocketbook if I have to give something. And I'm like, yee.
if I were more financially irresponsible, I'd probably be concerned.
Yeah. Oops. So yeah. All right. So let's actually talk about what I did find then. So did you ever read The Goon, or are you familiar
Yeah.
with the character The Goon?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
The Goon is coming back. So Eric Powell he's done like a bunch of one shots or like things here and there type of thing, but it's coming back. It's going back to Dark Horse. Albatross is imprinting at Dark Horse. So The Goon's going home, I suppose, is a way to look at it. And it's pretty cool because Dark Horse has been kind of the home of like expansion lately, like talking about a lack of news, but then like actual stuff. Dark Horse, got Matt Kint's personal imprint, Kevin Smith's personal imprint over the last couple months. The thing I'm about to say after this is more Dark Horse news. Dark Horse seems to be kind of putting it together lately. And
If you were to say, hey, what's the most solid, like, line of books going on right now? Normally you don't expect Dark Horse to be the top tier
right.
of that, but surprise, shorty.
And if I was going to tell you, I'd say probably two of the better imprints / publishers out there producing stuff I want to read is Dark Horse and Boom, which is a sentence that I don't think anyone expected anybody to utter in the last 2 to 5 years. You go back 5 years, they'd be like, what's a boom? You're right on the edge of when Boom really like figured out their stuff. And I got a little check now. I think my number one, it's a Boom book. So had a feeling. Yeah, so lots of interesting, cool stuff going on there, at least. So let's wrap up the Dark Horse talk with more interesting news. Dark Horse has decided that they are jumping the Diamond ship and they're going to Penguin Random House exclusively as well. So Diamond
where does that leave Diamond?
Not in a great place. And because it's exclusive, it means like DC, that their stuff won't be listed and isn't going to be available. That Marvel did that half and half thing. that from what I'm reading, it doesn't sound like Dark Horse is just like deuces. I think we're gonna have to see how that actually shakes out, because Marvel kind of took some time to figure out how that was gonna work out as well. But right. So Dark Horse is like, we good, moving on. And then yeah, I agree, is so Diamond survived the others. What's the straw that breaks that back? Because I think that day is now coming. Where before we were saying that, now it's kind of like, okay, the previews now has a bunch of other inserts because it's the only way it can carry books that people actually want to get. I think it leaves Boom, Dynamite, Action Lab. Like we're now way down the publisher list in terms of third tier and indie, right? I don't know. I can't imagine people are throwing a party at Diamond at the moment, because exclusivity means they're not even pushing books at all from those companies.
Well, and that also just like that puts the rest of the ones remaining that haven't jumped ship in like dangerous waters to begin with.
I think that's like, some would say, oh, well, now they'll get more attention. I was like, no, it means prices are about to go up for some of those companies, if I had to bet. Because at some point, volume was what Diamond was surviving off from. If it goes away, then how you money make becomes a super valid concern for them. And so, yeah, I just found that very interesting, that as Dark Horse grows, they're like, cool, we out. So interesting. We'll come back around to this, I assume, because I have a feeling Diamond will have some stuff to say in the coming weeks and months of how is this gonna keep working? Is legitimately gonna be a concern for them. So yep. Yep. That's the thing. All right. So you brought to my attention that a lot of people love them some Sandman lately.
I do.
Yeah, so it's like, I wonder why.
Now, I don't know if you've noticed, because I know what we're about to talk about news, but like they've not greenlit season 2.
Yes, and that's a valid news-ish thing here. Well, it's because frankly, Netflix has done really good stuff, but not made the money they've wanted to out of a lot of their bigger projects lately. And without saying it, they're basically like, you guys suck. Stop binging stuff that hurts our model.
They said that Sandman is one of the shows that is least binged. It is highly watched,
Right.
but people are like pausing and taking breaks and using the bathroom and drinking water.
It's because you need to hydrate in the middle of some of those episodes, because you're like, what just happened? Yeah, 24/7 you're sitting there going, I need to take a mental break. Yeah. And I'm sure Netflix also saw that and went and talked to Neil, and everyone was like, so you understand that season 2 is going to be more insane. that this train doesn't get better. It gets better, but
Well, I'll be honest, dude. Like the fact that you saw Martin Tinbones, like in season 1 in that brief thing, and I'm like, oh, that would have been so cool to like for me as an audio person. But yeah, that's part of our news is that
yeah, hit it.
not
Audible.
Audible, thank you. DC calling an Audible.
You did it.
DC, yeah. DC and Audible dropped volume 3 of the Sandman audio. And now one of my concerns when I heard Netflix was making a Sandman show was that they would drop the Audible work. Because I've been saying this for a hot minute. The Audible version of Sandman is a flippin' masterpiece.
Yeah, a little bit of chef kiss.
Yeah. And like the casting choices just make everything so different. And that's like some of the actors that are in the Audible, you couldn't pay them to do this Netflix show.
Yeah.
Or the availability is not there. Like James McAvoy. And here's realistically, I bet James McAvoy would do a killer on-screen Morpheus.
Yes.
But we couldn't pay him for that. I meant like,
That was
yeah, it's just like you've got 2 seasons of his Dark Materials, and that's still taking forever.
right.
But you've
That
got
might finish someday.
I doubt it, bro. Like at this pace, maybe. But you've got James McAvoy as Morpheus, Kat Dennings as Death, which I just love me some Kat Dennings, and but it's just like the little things, like with uh, the Crow, the Raven,
Oh yeah, Matthew.
Matthew the Raven. In Netflix's version, you get Patton Oswalt as Matthew the Raven, and in the Audible version, you get Andy Serkis, and it's just the, the little differences. And like in Netflix's version, you get Gwendolyn Christie as Lucifer, which I thought she had a very commanding presence.
Mm-hmm.
In the audio version, you get Michael Sheen, which, if you don't know, is the nice angel in Good Omens.
Right.
And it's just like he would not be as impressive on screen as Lucifer. But like there's just different stuff that like pops out, but I've just like the audio production of it has been so good, and like they don't shy away from anything. Like if you watched Sandman on Netflix, you got some watered down stuff in a good way, because like some of the like when it comes to the episode 24/7,
Yeah.
uh they
That
did
was toned down.
that was way toned down, and the not toned down version of it literally made me pull my car over because it freaked me out. And then like just the sound effects of despair with the fish hook, man, and the
Right.
audio, it's
Ugh.
just like, because there's nothing else, and you just hear like the most crisp, clear squelching, and it's just like but like also like if you've seen season 1, there's or read the books, because there are comics.
Yeah, that yep. Mm-hmm.
At the serial convention, uh, there's a very disturbing killer called Funland, and
Yeah, they
uh,
pulled that punch.
they dramatically pulled the punch on that on Netflix, and again, I'm really grateful. Visually,
They pulled the punch on the Calliope, the beginning of the second arc as well. When they gave us the bonus episode, when I saw that, I was like, I just reread this and went, oh no. And then I watched the episode and went, oh, that did not feel as nearly nasty as it could have been.
no, and Calliope, like the Arthur Darvill episode, like I mean, here's the thing: they're giving the visual. I'm not gonna say Muggle audience, but the they're not advanced dark arts. They're not Order of Phoenix folks. That if Netflix is your only Sandman, you are welcome to the community.
Yes,
You are welcome and
always.
enjoy it, but you are definitely getting the PG-13 version versus the NC-17 version.
Right.
Um, so, but either way, version 3 or volume 3 just dropped this week, and in fact, like 2 days ago. And you can pick it up if you have an Audible subscription, or if you're like me and you don't want to do Audible subscriptions, because I fight the power. I'm still on that Zune. Uh, I am, bro.
Reference.
I'm on that Zune.
I'm on that Zune, writing that one down too.
Bring it on, man. If you wait like a week or two, they're gonna have the entire volume 3 of Audible on one disc.
Mm.
And for those of you who still have CD players in your
Did you
car,
say physical media?
yeah.
What?
And so I've bought the first 2 volumes of the Audible on CD. Now it's not a CD you can play in every CD player, but it has to be one that has like digital capabilities or whatever. But I'm excited about it. Like I just found out about it this morning when I woke up, so I'm like,
Oh,
yay! I'm just gotta
good.
wait 2 weeks for it to get the CD.
I mean, there's worse things. And I mean, kind of wrapping the news segment is all my news stories are interrelated. How awesome is that? So I'm gonna make some people's head hurt, and it's gonna be fun. So Doom Patrol season 3, right?
Yes,
The one that happened, because we're waiting on 4.
right.
There was 1 or 2 episodes that featured 2 boy detectives that explicitly were dead boy detectives.
Right.
Right? Remember that? Okay. Do you know where the dead boy detectives came from?
I knew they were like a DC Comics thing, weren't they?
Yes, specifically, they came out of the Sandman universe.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes, I kind of glossed over that in the interest as well, but yeah, number 15, so just over the edge of the middle of the volume 2 arc, we see the dead boy detectives.
You know what? I totally remember that now. Go ahead.
Yep. It's kind of funny. I actually kind of like them better in the Doom Patrol implementation, because it got that Dirk Gently feel to it, which
Yes.
so there's another reference for you. Dig it. But DC's bringing the Dead Boy detectives back in December for some standalone stuff, and I don't think that's the new Sandman stuff that's out, but it's well, I pulled it up on purpose so I can double check that. No, they're just calling it the Sandman Universe Dead Boy Detectives, so it's technically going to be its kind of own thing ish in the greater thing of everything. So Charles and Edwin, your favorite dead boy detectives, return this December. And I'm kind of curious because they are great characters, and it's kind of a unique look at being able to solve crimes when, well, you're a ghost. So yeah, interesting. And I guess just to kind of wrap our news segment for this week, I just wanted to say that She-Hulk is still delightful and haters gonna hate.
I've got I've got this week's episode.
You haven't seen it yet?
Mm-mm.
Okay, it's everyone's probably like, "What is happening and why is happening?" And I'm like, "You're missing the point." We finally have a Marvel show that's just embracing what it is, and you're trying to figure out how it connects this stuff, and well, it does, but it doesn't. It's just existing, and the funny thing about it is the entire point of where we're at in She-Hulk is people accepting Jennifer Walters for who she is, and the whole thing is so self-aware that that's literally the rest of the MCU going, why do I care about She-Hulk? And it's like, Jennifer just wants you to know her as just Jen. And you're all like, nah, I don't get it. And I'm like, you're overthinking it. You're overthinking fun. Stop ruining fun. I don't know. It's what made me really enjoy the last 2 arcs of She-Hulk as a comic, that it's just so self-aware and kind of silly, but also grounded in like normal people stuff, with superheroes adjacent, that I'm just
It gives me
enjoy
Ally
it.
McBeal vibes.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that probably throws a lot of people off.
Yeah, that's
If
fair.
I see a dancing baby in this, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, you'd be like, I'm out.
No, 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 I'm here for it.
So, and then even though it's adjacent to everything as well, haters gonna hate as well on Andor and Star Wars and all that good stuff. And all I got to say on Andor is read more books, and you might appreciate Andor a little more. It's not that it's coming from a specific set of books, it's more so that it's telling a story much more like the expanded book universe in Star Wars, that it's a political espionage book show more than it is anything else. And people are like, I don't get it. And it's like, yeah, because they're now trying to show you the nuance of Star Wars, and you're either here for it or you're not. So it's why I've told people, I was like, don't overthink it, but also appreciate what they're showing you, because Andor is literally just a set piece to show you the world, or in this case, the universe. And that's why it feels weird, because it's usually not about the minutia or nuance of Star Wars. It's blasters and Darth Vader, and you're gonna get very little of both of those things. So go ahead at me. I don't care. I'm digging it. It is slower paced, but that's what it's supposed to be. And I'm gonna Kevin Smith this one and say, we used to only have 3 movies, and then we had 6, and then we had 9, and now we have this gigantic universe, and most of it actually doesn't suck. I'm just thankful to have the fact that a single script and a notebook of George Lucas's ideas brought us here and all this content, and I'm a happy person for it. So, editorial over. Crispy out. So that's what you need to know, and some things that you probably didn't, but you got my opinion anyway. We talk some industry, and we always want to focus on that when we can get it. So as always, you can join in on the conversation with Hector and I and all of your nerdy friends over on the Love Thy Nerd Discord, minus Hector because Discord's hard, or on the Facebook community. We hop in and out. People at us. It's fun. Tell us what you liked, what you hated, probably what we missed, because we do miss stuff. And that's what the fun of being comic nerds is all about. So without further ado, we bring you into the main event. The reason most of you listen to us, I think. Maybe. I don't know.
Who knows?
We're going to tell you about some comics you should read. And maybe about some you shouldn't. Nope, never mind. This week it's all good.
We'll see.
Yeah, it was hard to find books like we mentioned at the top of the show. So, yeah. So Hector, tell us about the fact that you didn't get DC books, but almost your entire list is DC books.
So, like, as you know, at least 2 weeks go by in between, like, us recording. So
That happens, yes.
I got the previous week's books, but not this week's books. Now, the books currently sitting in my box at my comic book shop are Nice House on the Lake #10.
You're now getting a preview of what's going to be Hector's You Should Have Read These Books.
Maybe. We'll see.
Right.
Human Target #7, which I love me some Human Target and Tom King. So really sad I'm missing that one. Detectives Comics 106, probably be disappointing. Honestly.
He's like, read this, but also don't.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like, I know what I'm buying, but that doesn't mean it's going to be good. Batman White Knight, I feel like they've beat this horse to death.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of, because I did read it, didn't make my list. It's Sean Murphy's art still makes me happy inside, but why can nobody make me care about a Batman Beyond story?
It's a struggle bus, bro. It really is.
Like nobody.
And maybe it's the fact that I grew up in that generation where it's like too many like 90s Boy Meets World attachments or whatever else, but it's just like
that could be fair.
Like, I was just like, I'm just tired of you.
Yeah. It's like, no, go away.
Go away. And then Batman. So those are ones I missed that I know were on my list. Todd mentioned do a Power Bomb #3 or 4 or whatever we're at, and I wanted to get that, but my shop keeps running out of it, and for whatever reason, it hasn't actually been put on my list. And just to add these two, because Kevin Conley.
There you go. Hi,
Yep,
Kevin.
sorry. Kevin Conley mentioned that his best books have been Shang-Chi, Flash, Damage Control, and World's Finest. And he says,
I mean, I did enjoy Damage Control, so
yeah. He says the Two-Face One Bad Day one shot was okay, but didn't like it as much as Riddler.
Also true. Save it for the podcast.
Save it for the podcast. And Todd also recommends Duo by Milestone.
Yes. I mean, Milestone's got some good stuff clicking away again. And I need to jump back and look at Duo, because I'd say that's the one I'm seeing more of, which tells me people are reading it.
Yeah. And I know we're out of news, but also, since you did mention Doom Patrol, they announced the casting for that character, Casey. Yeah, they announced Casey's character. So that's the thing. All right.
Nick Darrington was given a gift that early sketches of Casey, they actually had the actor do a few of the poses from his very early sketches and then shared them with him to share. And he's just like nerding out. And Nick is still one of my favorite artists out there that does really cool stuff. And he's like, the really weirdest crap of Doom Patrol is coming.
Yes. I'll say season 3 of Doom Patrol was absolutely bananas. And I loved it.
Yep. I mean, that's the point. Doom Patrol is just so broken. And
it's so broken, but it managed to be so deep in season 3 and broken.
I think that's the point. And from Grant Morrison forward, and I know definitely Young Animal with all them doing that and Nick and them, that it was like, nope, this is still a thing, but it cray cray.
Ooh. So Nightwing did a Brady Bunch cover, so that's a thing.
It's the Nightwing Bunch.
So this concludes the Heartless arc, or Battle for the Heart of the City, like I guess the second major arc. And man, freaking chef's kiss all around. Nightwing, the Leap into the Light, or whatever that was, the first arc of Tom Taylor's story. This is the second arc minus the Fear State stuff.
Are we still talking? Oh yeah, we are. Dang it.
Yeah. So this issue legitly just gives you the roundup of Blockbuster versus Nightwing. Now I remember, like 15 years ago when Nightwing killed Blockbuster. And that was a whole crisis of identity and such with that.
Just identity, or of Earth's, or yeah, never mind. It's gone. It's over.
But this issue really gives you the culmination of Nightwing versus Blockbuster, but it also gives you a really good culmination to Barb's and Dick's relationship. Did you read this one?
I did not.
You're not on this yet. No.
But I'm a terrible person.
But I'm telling you, dude, these last 2 volumes of Nightwing, some of the best stuff out there. But Blockbuster finds out Nightwing's identity at the end of the last issue, the previous issue, and then beats him to bloody heck. And they rally, beat up the bad guys, win the day, and all. But then they have this conversation where Batgirl and Nightwing are standing in the rain. He does the pensive, but he knows my identity now, and it's too dangerous for you, and blah blah blah. And there's literally just a panel of Batgirl saying "F that" with bleeps, of course. It's
oh my.
And there's also a really cute panel in here. If you look at my Instagram, it's on there. Of one of the D-list villains that was working for Blockbuster cusses him out and flips him off.
Oh, right, yeah.
And they put the comics code sticker over all of it, and it's just cute. But like literally, there's this moment where he's like, he's in the rain. Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon can't be together, and she just starts laughing. And he's like, "What's happening?" She's like, "F that," and.
Nah,
and then it goes into this whole thing like, we're superheroes, like Darkseid could come tomorrow or whatever. He's like, shut up, you idiot. And they have their little moment. But since the first issue of this whole run, Heartless has been this touted villain, and I'll say that Heartless is to Nightwing what Hush is to Batman. And I feel like we're just getting started with that, because he has been slightly sprinkled through this storyline. But this dude basically removes other people's hearts and like feeds on them, like ingests them somehow, not eating them, but like they fuel something inside of him, like almost like a Cyberman type situation. But and I don't want to spoil it for those that are reading it, but we thought Blockbuster had killed Heartless, or at least attempted to. And the last chunk of this story, you get Heartless doing some Heartless-ish, and ends on a really big cliffhanger note. A lot of good way. So I don't know if Tom Taylor's actually continuing after this. That's you actually look up logistics. That's not a me thing.
So, don't make me work. I already did work.
I'm not telling you to look it up. I'm just saying I don't read ahead. So if this is a place where Tom Taylor's getting off, it's a great place to get off. If he's continuing, fantastic. But I still stand by that Nightwing the big leap into the light, and then Battle for the Heart of the City. if you can pick those up as trade backs when they come out or whatever, they will be worth your money. So Nightwing
96.
96, worth it, absolutely.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. I guess I'll just go ahead and throw this one out here. The Two-Face one shot.
Let's do it. Let's go.
As we previously mentioned, this is good. It's not on par with the Riddler one.
I brought my copy too.
Yeah, see. It's good.
Twinsies.
It's not as good as the Riddler one, but it is good.
Yeah.
And Chris knew what I would enjoy about it. Is that it gives you all the classic Two-Face moments throughout, especially throughout modern storytelling.
Yep.
You get Two-Face shooting Hush at the end of the Hush arc original. You get Two-Face pulling a gun on Renee Montoya in No Man's Land. You get a lot of good references all the way to Dark Victory with Robin and everything else. You get those references. You know what? Nobody references, dude. It was the 1 year later stuff when Two-Face was running around with just a toboggan and some Eskrima sticks and just fighting crime. And when he I think he had his face, I think he had his face healed and everything. And he's just running around as Harvey Dent fighting crime while Batman's gone. And I'm like, nobody references that. Like, that's not a thing. Like, it's like we collectively decided that didn't actually happen.
No redemption for Harvey.
If you really love Two-Face, this is worth it. I am not advertising this on the level I did the Riddler one, because the Riddler one was like a great piece of art.
Yep.
This is good. And if you like Two-Face, it's worth a shot. To be fair, I would not have put this on my poll if Chris hadn't claimed another book I was going to put on my poll.
Too bad.
So, yep, I failed. This city. So there you go. Now this one, I will say this is probably my book of the week. Over total. Black Adam number 4.
Yep.
So, and you're not reading this, right?
No.
Okay.
Tell me
so
why.
First, can I ask this, and forgive my insolence? The writer of this, Priest, what is his ethnicity?
Oh, no, he is black, and that's why he does a lot of these stories. I'm not saying that it's race equals that he does race equals.
No.
He wants to bring a lot of attention to solid, like the fact that he wasn't as in, like he was with Milestone early on, if I remember correctly, maybe 1 or 2 stories. I want to double check that to be 100% sure. But it's why he also had lots of work on Black Panther a while ago that was really good. But yes, I'm trying to double check all of his stuff, because he's done a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff.
Okay. Here's my question, and I think this is not any kind of disrespectful in any way, but just you can have a loving conversation with me if you feel like it. In reading this, my one thought was there were so many directly African American culture references thrown out here in this issue that I felt like if a white dude wrote this, I don't think it's okay. and I was like,
that's probably fair.
Like I honestly felt like if this was written by a white man, it would almost feel like you're mocking the culture. If this is not, I was like, okay, good. But like it, like I had to, like, I didn't check that because I was reading it super late, and I was like, but I loved it. It's wonderful, and that's also one of the reasons why I liked it so much, is because it had a lot of rap references, it had a lot of hip hop culture, it had a lot of stuff like that. But I wanted to make sure it wasn't just like cultural appropriation.
No, Priest usually is known for bringing culture forward in a lot of his work. That's what he was well known for on his arcs um, with Black Panther. I think he did a lot of the Green Lantern Corps um, stuff during that time period as well. That this is generally Priest is really good at this, and I think that's why this turn in Black Adam happened with him, was that he wanted to bring more to the table. And DC's like, yeah, too easy, done.
So this book has different sections, like chapter titles, every couple pages. Um, so one, and I'm an idiot because I missed it. Um, uh, one of the chapter titles is actually Luke 16.
He is also known for occasionally dropping some of that knowledge.
So the one of the first panels you see like, hold on, for the record, this
Right.
this character is called White Adam, and so if I'm referencing Black Adam, it's Teth
The
Adam.
book, right.
Yeah. So there's at one point you see Teth Adam, Black Adam, sitting in a chair, and he asks his uh new Alfred, Shep. He's basically got an Alfred. Um
Right.
asks him, "Do you believe in God?" And he's like, "You want to start with this before I have a bagel?" And like, so they have this whole conversation. Now, there's two biblical things I'm going to point out in this issue.
Nerd.
First of all, they managed to put in a poop on Joel Osteen in this book. If you would have told me that in a DC proper major label comic book, you'd have somebody cracking a Joel Osteen joke, I'd have never believed it.
I'm not gonna lie, I laughed when you sent me that. I was like, "Heh."
Right. And so it's just like, oh, what are y'all doing? Like, where did that come from?
No lies detected, though. I think even people that aren't tracking would get that reference.
uh so he's talking about this stuff. Black Adam asks this question. He says, "Was any of that real, Shep, or imagined? Isn't that a question for all faith? Is any of it real?" Or he says, "Hey, schmuck, you can fly. Whatever other mashugas may be happening here, some part of your deal is actually true. Let's see Joel Osteen top that." And so straight up, I'm like, where did that come from? So at that point in time, you see Black Adam start quoting Luke 16:23, I believe is the reference. I just posted on Faith and Fandom this morning as well. It says, and in hell he lift up his eyes, being in torments, and seeth Abraham afar. By the way, I love that Black Adam's quoting the King James Version. Um, and and Lazarus in his bosom. And it says, which one were you? So this plays out like Doctor Who. And the fact that in Luke 16, Jesus is telling a parable, and Black Adam's one of the dudes in the parable. So you get a flashback to the story that Jesus is talking about in Luke 16. You get a picture of it happening.
Dope.
And Black Adam's one of the dudes. So it's interesting. But then like you in Home Alone, which is the another chapter in it, you get White Adam basically doing his first like Shazam training montage type situation. And where he gets thrown up, and he is trained none other by the demon Etrigan. And
the demon
Etrigan. And so but the entire time it's White Adam throwing shade at Etrigan as they're fighting. He's like, this is his first conversation with the demon Etrigan. The first time he sees him, this is his response. Not fear, not anything else. This is his first response. Yo, poo nut, bean, whoever's under that fright mask, Halloween's over. Take yo elf Jordans and bounce.
Uh,
Please, for the love of God. And when's the last time you saw a dentist? And like, so he's just
ooh,
and just throwing at him, and it's just literally like him throwing back and forth, and he's listening to the rhyming and everything else.
right.
And he's like, God, your rhymes suck. The Vanilla Ice of supervillains.
Ooh, they
And
had a rap battle.
they had a
He
rap
didn't.
battle.
He didn't know.
And then, what's the other one? Somehow, like, he activates his lightning power, and he says, "Yeah, how you like me now? Got 99 problems, but a demon ain't one." And then then ends it with biatch, like straight Michael Scott biatch. And so the whole thing, and that's just so you get Black Adam talking about the Bible,
Yep.
and then you get White Adam
Rap battle
quoting
against
Jay
him.
Z fighting the demon Etrigan.
Bet.
Bet. And then for my other pull, I'll just throw in Red Hood and the Outlaws #9 on Webtoons.
Yes.
Free version of my favorite comic book character in my favorite iteration. Yes, all day.
You're like,
but
yes, please.
but this little snippet, and these are short and they are not fulfilling as far as a full comic book because they're not that length. But you get Jason, Bizarro, and Artemis all fighting evil clones of themselves, but not just like one, like an army of them.
Ooh.
Because the thing that they were chasing, the guy that we're fighting, can create multiple copies. He can turn anybody into anything. So it's kind of an Agent Smith situation. So they're actually fighting hundreds of Jasons, hundreds of Bizarros, hundreds of Artemis, but they're actually real people, so they can't kill them.
Yeah.
So that's it. I'm done. What you got?
I got kapow.
The Grim.
The Grim is back in ongoing and all that. So our good buddy Rico being involved in this project,
And by the way, Rico's on She-Hulk, and I didn't realize that.
really,
Rico is coloring.
oh no, he's coloring the new one. I did know that. Sorry,
he's coloring the new She-Hulk. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, no, Rico's doing tons of great stuff. Hi, Rico. We should have you on the show someday.
We should absolutely have Rico Rinzi on this show
because he's a wonderful, wonderful Who man that we adore. But
he always left
Grim,
me smiling and satisfied.
So Grim, the opposite of smiling and all of that stuff. But we kind of set this up before that Grim follows a bunch of deaths, not the death, but reapers of some type, that they're people that are kind of paying a penance, if you will. They can only travel to the world of the living with a scythe. The main character lost their scythe and was somehow still able to like travel this particular universe, which creeps a bunch of people out. You slowly find out that she's special in some way, but you can't really figure out why. So spoiler alert, because this is why it's on my list, is that story is kind of cool, and it ran a little slow in episodes in issues 3 and 4, but number 5 you finally get the point. So spoiler alert, you pause here if you care a lot, or you keep listening to find out why you should be reading this. You find out the reason why this particular Reaper doesn't know how they died, and this is another thing, is most of them know how they died. She doesn't. You find out it's because she is the daughter of death. Right. So the reason she doesn't have a memory is because they basically wiped it so she wouldn't know who she is. And you find that out, and you find out that to protect her, her aunt has been running hell. And Death is actually back in the real world in a hotel room in Las Vegas because he's been banished in order to protect his daughter. And a big old fight happens in Las Vegas, and I won't spoil that piece, but that is the kicking off point of the rest of this story. And it's interesting because basically she's human / death, and that's why she can traverse. is my takeaway on that. But we don't know entirely who Mom is, but Mom is coming because that was the preview at the end of this book. And I'm like, okay, this went from interesting to I'm now fascinated and let's go. So it's just all kinds of weird. And Death actually has like a very kind-hearted father-daughter in this book, so it's just kind of wild. I dig books that make you kind of stretch in those weird ways and re-image major pieces of folklore that we know, and just like goes to town and breaks it in all kinds of ways. So it's wild. I dig it. It's very pretty. Very pretty. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's pretty.
It's pretty.
Yeah, Rico usually does stuff with lots of super vivid colors, which is why he gets lots of cool work as a colorist. So next on my wonderful list, you've heard this story before. Kapow. Dark Spaces, Wildfire, and how about that cover? Dope.
That is a great color. It has flash vibes.
Right. So the all-female wildland firefighting team for wildfires is going on this heist. Like I said from the beginning, it's a heist book. Who knew? And I didn't spoil one of the last things where they rob this house and then they find a dead body. This is a book that just escalates at the end of each book. And it's clearly going to have an end because they've been basing each issue on a stage of a fire. And so this one was flashover. So the hottest point of the fire and the big explosion of the fire. They found the dead body at the last one. And they're like, oh crap, that person's dead. That person was mutilated in very strange ways. And they're like, that's not good vibes. We should leave. And while they're leaving, they get shot at in the middle of a fire. And you're just like, oh, we are just taking the escalation of story from, oh, that's weird. Oh, that sucks to, oh my God, everything is trying to kill us. And you don't know why. So I'm just at the point of they do a really neat job of each issue telling more backstories of each of the reasons that each of the women ended up in prison, the things that actually motivate them. And you slowly get the pile-on of the story escalating each issue. And I'm like, I really want to know what data is on this thing that they stole and why is it worth this much? Because they clearly weren't the only ones that had the idea, is what's implied here, is that another group, except a heavily armed group, is trying to get whatever's in the house as well. So I'm kind of curious, what that's going to be at the end of the day. Fun stuff down the line. So we're in spooky season. It's officially spooky season for comic books. And that means DC horror and other people are doing all their stuff. There's all kinds of other things, but kapow, because you can't have a book without mentioning Sergeant Rock, which is like forever and a day for DC. But this is Sergeant Rock and the Army of the Dead, brought to you by Bruce Campbell. So take a wild guess what that book's about. So it's about zombies. And it is just about everything that you imagine between all of the words that I just uttered in that sentence.
Are there chainsaws?
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's actually very straight storytelling at the moment. It's middle of end of World War II. They're approaching Berlin, and Hitler's figured out how to reanimate his army so he can have an endless army to, not lose the war. So I think we've heard this story once or twice. That said, it's Bruce Campbell. Bruce Campbell's humor is in here for sure. And this was the setup book. So they're like, oh no, zombies, shoot for the head kind of stuff is what they've learned here. So it's a 6-parter. This was the setup book. I'm here for Bruce Campbell and zombies in spooky season. 2022.
See, I was going to complain about zombies, but then again, we both had a zombie book, so whatever.
Yeah, and I'm gonna follow that zombie book with a zombie book, right?
Surprise!
But not zombie, but zombie. Fine. So where does that mean I ended? Kablamo! This is the book that Hector's like, how dare you?
Yep, pretty much.
But Deceased, War of the Undead Gods, issue number 2 came out. See if I can find a pretty picture. No, not going to show you that. Going to talk about that. Because wow. I mean, I've just enjoyed all these books because they're colorful, but ew, zombies. So Deceased has gone through this iteration of killing a lot of people you know and love. And now we have entered the next phase, which is all these god level characters, deities, etc. in the universe are being infected, and we knew that Darkseid was like the biggest piece of this, so it's like, ooh, zombie Darkseid's kind of frightening. Zombie Darkseid is really fucking
Zombie
terrifying.
Darkseid is scary, bro. And if you think normal Darkseid is scary, Zombie
Yes.
Darkseid is scary.
Zombie Darkseid is scarier, and then this book was like, oh, we gonna take your zombie Darkseid. How would you like us to put some more zombie Darkseid and other really scary stuff in your scary zombie Darkseid, and zombie Darkseid it up, cranked that to 11. And this is a spoiler, but it has to be said because I'm not avoiding this here. I'm going to talk about the thing. Is zombie Darkseid's not just zombie Darkseid. He is now zombie Darkseid, leader of the Yellow Lantern Corps, because he ripped Sinestra's head off his body, and the Yellow Ring's like, you instill a great level of fear in people. We friends now. And so now we have zombie Darkseid, Yellow Lantern. And I'm like, that's the most comic book thing I've seen in a while, but damn, is that frightening.
Ready for the action figure.
Right? And
I mean, listen, I've got a... Where is he? Hold on. Let me scoot to my shelf without breaking anything.
he said skeet.
Like, Batman Darkseid.
Right?
Like, that's... I thought that was the most comic book thing. No. Zombie Yellow Lantern Darkseid takes the cake.
Yeah, I was just like, half of my brain like failed in the moment and went, that's the most comic book thing I've seen in a while. And then the other half of my brain went, but that's also incredibly frightening. So good job, Fear. Yep.
I was
Did
like,
it.
oh crap. Yep, y'all done did that.
Yeah, you did it. So yeah. Deceased continues to decease a lot of mainline DC characters for the sake of the story. See what I did there? It's good. It's not good. It was terrible. So I just continue to dig it. So my books weren't sexy this week, I guess, but there's a lot going on there. And they're fun. I think my number one is the one I'm glad it was the number one, so I could be like, it's this. But before I hit it, what was your number one?
Oh, my number one?
Yeah, we hit the number ones, and then we out of here, fam.
Well, I don't have a visual because I'm reading it on Kindle.
How dare
because
you.
I found out it came out today and it became my number one. If you listen to this podcast, which I don't expect all of you to listen to like 75 hours of this, but if you've listened to this podcast over any amount of time, you have heard me mention a book called Steeple.
Yes.
It was a random book I picked up because it had a girl in a clerical collar on the front in a graveyard, and it looked cool.
This looks dope.
This looks dope. So Steeple, if you've heard me mention this before, Steeple Volume 3, number 1 is my number one. But it comes as a trade, so you can pick up the whole trade. So there's that. Anyway, Steeple is the story of a young, well-wishing, what do you call them in England? Basically a British youth pastor.
If it's Britain, then I'm assuming it's Anglican.
Yeah, it's Anglican. So there's a young Anglican youth pastor that goes to a little seashore town, sort of broad churchish vibes,
Aw.
in England, and meets basically the youth leader for the Church of Satan, and the cool, sexy, hip girl in town, and they become best friends. And you find out that the local pastor, vicar, priest, whatever you want to call him, spends his night fighting literal monsters, like via supernatural style. Um, so
Checks out.
uh, youth pat air quotes enemy youth pastors becoming friends, pastors fighting monsters. Literally in volume 2 there was a werewolf thing, and they were fighting aliens with kaiju. I mean, it was a whole thing.
So are you saying that's not what your day job looks like?
It depends on the season. Right now I'm a little more into like graphic design.
Oh,
um
that's fair.
but currently, uh the at the end of book 2 there was a big plot twist that the Church of Satan girl found God, and that the youth pastor girl got really bitter at the church and went to the Church of Satan so she could just do what she wants. Um, and it's this weird flip flop, Parent Trap, Freaky Friday vibe of ministry. So
Let's go.
seeing this young lady who spent most of her life, like, atheistic Satanist, to now she's trying to be like bubblegum and sunshine youth pastor, and then the bubblegum and sunshine and youth pastor trying to be devious. It's just this
Broody.
weird vibe. But it's fun. It's from it is Boom, right? I think it's Boom.
Steeple?
Um
I think
yeah.
so.
Yeah. Uh Either way, volume 3 dropped, and it's got some different chunks of stories, but as it follows through,
Dark Horse.
um
Knew it was
Dark Horse.
it's easily we knew it was one of the two
One of the
based on our
two.
conversation. So boom.
Yeah.
Ha, I mean
Um
Dark Horse. I mean, dang it. This is fine.
and it also ties in one of the other like detective-y books from that same branch. But
Oh, the kids that do the what's that book called? I know which one you mean.
Wicked Things.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, it brings in one of the detectives from Wicked Things.
that's cool.
Um, but it's got a Shesh Gremlin is one of the bad guys in the first part. It's a party demon that once you start drinking, if you keep doing it too long, it takes over your life. And so it's got the two of them fighting a Shesh Gremlin. Like, just, and there's, if you're in ministry at all, or you've been a part of the church for a while, hearing their perspectives on things is kind of refreshing and encouraging, but it's
Hmm.
also fun. And like, they approach this stuff with humor without like being straight up blasphemous. And if you're like, it's one of the things, like if you see the same stuff you do in a Christian church being done in by a different faith, and it makes you feel cringy, maybe it looks cringy to everybody else that sees what you're doing. And so
That
it's
cringe goes to 11.
so it's just one of those things of like, I enjoy it a lot, and I thought it was done. I thought it was over because it does not come out in single issues anymore. Like, I've not seen this on the store shelves. But it does drop whole trades. So that's it for me.
Dope. Are you ready?
Yep. What's your number one?
Boom! It's called Briar.
I heard a lot of people talking about that.
Yeah. So I did too, and I picked it up because I am a sheep and I follow people. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people were talking about it, and there weren't a lot of number ones on the shelf, so it kind of made it easy, right? But it making the top of my list is because I did not expect what I obtained. And so I need to find like an early picture because it's really cool how it does this. It's very bright, right? And it's like, ooh, and it's kind of the Snow White story ish of the main character is a princess and falls like into this deep sleep and everything. But then it kind of doesn't go so hot.
Okay.
She just kind of gets left there, and the book's color changes from that point forward and becomes blue instead of yellow. So that's pretty cool. But this is basically okay, Snow White didn't get woken back up kind of story, but then she gets woken up like way in the future. And she's kind of zombie like because it didn't go as planned, and everyone's like, oh snap, you're supposed to be dead. So she ends up kind of aligning with a lot of the undertones of the world as opposed to the upper tones of the world in the book, and realizing that a lot of people want her dead, not just kind of
Undead.
dead. Right. And meets a dark elf individual who's named themselves Spider, and shenanigans ensue. But it's a very violent book from that point going forward. And there's some pretty solid fantasy tropes, but also like flipping the story upside down kind of things going on from that point forward. So no 7 dwarves yet. If they throw in 7 dwarves as a joke on top of this joke at some point, I'm gonna laugh very hard out loud because I'm kind of surprised they didn't go there early. But yeah, it literally has this, and I think it's only a 1 in 4 or a 1 in 6. It is a short. It's going to end. And right now it's basically a buddy story between someone that was a princess but is now undead with a dark elf who basically nobody likes. So that trope kind of maintains, but I'm assuming based on what I've seen so far, there's going to be redemption for both of them in some way or shape or form. But if you're into the fantasy stuff that has familiar but different vibes, I'm kind of here for it now. And I just do really dig the whole very, very bright, like I said, to very dark, that it changes colors as it goes kind of thing. But it is definitely mature. It is soaked in blood and all of that good stuff. So it's also very much not your Disney story gone. Well, it is your Disney story gone wrong. So boom, you nailed it. So yeah, Briar, that is Boom. So we managed to go full circle on that one, and Boom and Dark Horse at the top of our list at the end of the week. So yeah, that's it. That's going to do it for us. Episode 76 is now in the books and now in your ears and your eyeballs because we got video now.
Eye holes.
Yep, right there. It's true. We're on YouTube, so don't miss out on that. You can see Hector and my lovely faces, or what we present as lovely on a bi-weekly basis. But
In the middle of a hurricane at the beginning of the day.
Don't worry about it. This is fine. Be safe. We can't do this alone. We take this journey of podcasts and fandom along with a whole bunch of other podcasts here on the Love Thy Nerd podcast network. You can check out all those shows at lovethynerd.com, including ours. So you can get more info, previous episodes, maybe find yourself a little something new, little something to listen to or watch, because a lot of our stuff now is on the videos. But Hector and I just honestly want to thank you for choosing us as your primary comic book knowledge factory on, well, when we show up. So don't leave us hanging. Rate and review the show on your favorite podcasting app of choice. We're on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, YouTube, and so much more. Honestly, thank you for listening from the bottom of my heart, and I know Hector thanks you as well. So remember, kids, read more comics.
I'm gonna take all 7 continents, the game of